Hello and welcome to a new episode of PowerTalks, the Energy Management Podcast. I'm excited to explore today's topic, understanding energy solutions in modern businesses. Together with our experts Tobias, Michael and Harry, we will talk about the energy management. And energy management isn't about reducing costs anymore. It's more about staying competitive and meeting sustainability goals. So whether you're just starting your energy management journey or just want to optimize your advanced system, this episode has something for everyone, so let's get started.
Hello and welcome to our new PowerTalks, the Janitza Energy Podcast episode. Today I would like to welcome again, our two entities development managers from Australia, Michael Da Costa, and from India, Hari Bala. And today we have a new very important episode, the understanding of energy solutions in modern business. And therefore, we have some interesting key facts today, which we would like to talk about. And one at the beginning, at the comment for our session, what are the most common key points for energy management Janitza has been come recently, and why it should match your attention. So in this case, starting already with our conversation today, so very like to welcome you guys again. Starting actually with our point here, what are the key factors driving the innovation of energy management in modern business? Michael?
It's an interesting conversation. We've had this a few times now. We see it from different points of view. There's one where people want to be positive, want to show that they're energy efficient. But that's the ideal world, because really we're all looking at the bottom line, aren't we? And we're saying, okay, what can we do differently? We know energy costs are rising, and therefore I say that's a real key factor. People want to know where's the energy being used, when, why, how, and so on. So
it's absolutely right. Many times consumers do not know what they are buying from the utilities as an energy and then where they are consuming, right? So it really matters for them to match what they are buying and then what they are consuming. So that's a very important aspect of the whole energy management to start with.
Right. True point. It's also that they want to have energy in a better ways, that they want to spend less on the consumption, probably in that way.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Transparency is a key word. So that is matching to our understanding, so to say. So how is, for instance, IoT and the smart metering changing the ways companies monitor and optimize their energy consumption?
The IoT gives them a lot of information. They can flexibly get information they want when they want it, so that they can collect these information and then create a knowledge base on the information what they have got, and then they can drive or control the outputs further. So that's the major innovation with IoT, which has come up over here. And that means when we are collecting the data appropriately, and then we would be in a position to manage it much better.
I see. Is there something special in Australia, Michael, that the people think about differently on the IoT subject?
Yeah, that's. I'll continue what Harry's saying. If we live in a data-rich environment now. We know data is key. And you think, we're talking about modern business, but yet we've been talking about metering and energy management for years on end, right? But what's different? People now work from home. People are in the office only a few days a week. So if you look at IoT sensors and metering together, imagine, if we're not sitting in this part of the office, why does it need to be on? Why not have a sensor for it? In the industrial environment, imagine having sensors, anything from a motor to having a meter and a switchboard to, understanding what is happening at that certain point in time. I think will really create knowledge on how we use energy. If you really want to say, where do we start? Well, then that data-rich environment from IoT sensors specifically and metering together definitely creates that data-rich environment for us to make really conscious decisions on saving energy.
In this place, I need to make a point that when you're collecting data from an IoT, the sensors play a vital role. If you use a very normal sensor, you get only the normal data.
Right.
If you get superior sensors, you get superior data where you can rely on much more effectively.
Yeah.
So that sensors are the bottom line, and then that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, true point, true point. If we speak, let's say our podcast name is Understanding of the Energy Learnings. Let's say, can you explain something about learnings, how it can improve the efficiency of the business?
Yeah.
In India, probably, Hari.
Let me explain to you. We have a old saying that when you have information, these are all just an information, and then when it is taken at a regular intervals,
Right.
and then you have a pattern of data. When the data is tagged properly, then you gain knowledge out of the tagging. So once if your tagged knowledge is there, then you will be in a position to control what is coming in. So which means knowledge is power. So ultimately the data is given for that.
Yeah.
That's what we can go ahead with this.
Yeah.
So it's very vital that we have a reliable, clean data, and then we can have a superior knowledge to control the whole aspects of energy in this case. That's how it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Michael,
Yeah.
adding to that?
Yeah, definitely. Because if we relate it to the last question, we talk about this data-rich environment. So it's learnings. You know, if we didn't have this data, how would the three of us understand how to make this building efficient, right?
Right.
And there's no more 9 to 5 in a business. We can't expect it. When I talk with clients, they think, oh, yes, we've got a manufacturing site and the first guy comes in at 6 a.m. and the last guy leaves at 4 p.m. But it's not actually like that. When you look at the real data from IoT sensors or really the metering side of things, right? All of a sudden you're seeing these inrush currents at 5:30 in the morning, or there's something running at 6 p.m. at night. Because really the person might be saying, hey, I needed to get in early to do something. Or if we relate it to our team, we're a global team, right? We can't expect the guys in this office to be working 9 to 5. Some start earlier to talk to other countries, some start later to talk to other countries.
Yes.
So there is no 9 to 5 anymore. How would we ever capture this data? Last question, talking about IoT and metering, and then the learnings from that. Creating these reports, understanding where we really use energy is the key to reducing our consumption.
True point. True point. Let's say both of you have probably done more than 300 projects for Janitza and our solutions world into that in your specific countries. What do you see after, let's say, getting all of these years? What are the biggest challenges which companies face when they would like to implement an EMS, an energy management system, not from Janitza or in general? If you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this last week, right? The first barrier, people create barriers when they don't understand something. So the first conversation is, oh, how expensive is it? And it's actually not the case. The real barriers is the departments within a business all having a shared understanding of what they want to achieve. That is when you really dig deep, we will talk with a technical guy or a certain team. It could be the sustainability team. But there are so many teams within the business. So all of a sudden, they're not understanding what this sustainability team's asking for or wanting to do. And because there's that lack of understanding, then there's a lack of buy-in from that company.
Right, right. True.
Many times it's the barrier within the organizations, as you said, which stops the companies to take a right decision in the energy management. They need to know exactly that these data would be presented to all the departments or all the stakeholders, and they can take the data as they want. For example, an accountant in the company can take the information and predict what can be his monthly bill he need to be paying for the electricity, for example. And then the same information can be going to the maintenance guy, and he can find out which part of my electrical network is going through some problems or where I need to do some maintenance. So this information can also be shared. Ultimately, people should look at information, what they have to get it from these systems, rather than believing that this system will block their normal routines. So that's how it has to be seen.
So there's a lot of doubt which people have, and what we can say. Let's say we, as Hari explained, I guess we're having more and more stakeholders when we would like to sell a solution from Janitza. So it's not only that we're talking as a conventional way, the procurement manager who looks for a price and the technical man who looks for a solution. We have now more stakeholders. So interesting. How does, let's say, the investing of innovation energy management systems impact the bottom line a bit? Is that something that the people want? Proven concepts, return on invest cases? What's your experience in that? Are people asking for that?
Return on investment, you can make it in a financial way, in any way. There are multiple ways of doing that. But when considering for return on investment, people should consider not only the money what they are putting in and then money what they are getting. It should also be considered that all their other resources, right? For example, they might be saving at cost of some human resources, going and taking some readings or going and seeing something on the devices. So these kind of stuff also has to be considered while doing a return on investment. Having said that, I always advocate and ask my customers, we don't have a return on investment for the security who is there, whom we are deploying in our premises. Its monitoring is also the same way. So energy monitoring means it's like deploying security or energy security for your own systems. See, so that's how it is.
How do you guys think, let's say, the client's business will need to adapt, let's say, the energy management system to be competitive in a continuous way, also for the future businesses?
And again, this is something we always talk about. Doing nothing is an option, and that is okay. Will it affect your business? Well, how long's a piece of string? Reality is, if we're really looking at growing a business, any business wants to grow, right? Okay, let's look at our operational overheads. If we want to expand, okay, where can we be efficient? Where can we do this? Where can we do that? To me, it's a no-brainer, even tied into the last question of ROI and so on. You know, I always joke about with you guys as well. I always joke about, would you ask your wife for $1 million? And she'll say, well, what is it for? Okay, well, the answer is, I just want it, or there's a return on investment. But skip the investment of money for this. Understanding how we use energy today, and do this at home. Understand the way you use energy today. It's guaranteed and proven. You'll save somewhere between 5 to 15% of your energy consumption, obviously off your energy bill. So if we relate that to your question, to a modern business today who's evolving, why wouldn't you want to save 5 to 15% of your bottom line by just understanding where you use energy?
So for companies who just started with talking about energy management or monitoring from the very beginning, and we know we have some big names of customers, but they never thought about that. Nowadays, they will have to because of challenges in the future. What are, let's say, the first steps, the initial steps, which a company, it doesn't matter how big it is, has to be considered?
The companies have to start, if they want to go in for energy management, they need to start how much of energy I'm consuming and how much of energy out of which I'm consuming, I want to monitor it. And I believe it should be around 80% of what they are buying or consuming should be monitored at the load ends. So this means that they need to deploy devices, measurement devices in these places and start collecting the data. So I would say even in 63191, the latest standard which is coming up, it says that 80% of the loads needs to be monitored for power quality and as well for the energy management.
I see.
So that's how it is.
Okay. So there's also an interesting point, the power quality subject. Yeah, yes. Which leads also to energy bills of increasing and decreasing, of course. Yeah, interesting topic.
Yeah,
Michael, is some adding?
Oh, yeah. If we talk to modern business who don't understand energy management or power quality, look, we're both power quality guys. So, you know, I always talk about energy management as just somewhat of a band-aid solution if you don't take everything into consideration. But let's think of a modern business who doesn't measure energy today. You know, I'll relate it to our smartphones. I guarantee you guys have probably got a smartphone in your pocket. If you look at the start of the 2000s, we know what happened in 2007, and it really revolutionized the way we use a phone today. Imagine we did the same thing with meters and IoT in a business in the same year. Could you imagine how much we would know about our own business, our own office today? So if a company's listening to this and going, okay, we really do need to do something, or we're still sitting on the fence going, is it going to help us or not? Well, relate it to the phone. Look at how far we've come. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's very interesting that people in the company should know that what is my consumption, my office consumption, my equipment consumption. So it goes down to the operator level.
Right.
And when they start knowing this information, automatically the management of it becomes much more easy.
Interesting. By this way, let's say before implementing, what are most of the common mistakes which people can avoid before implementing an energy management system?
People are risk adverse. They're worried that what they don't know, right? And so they're thinking we have to spend all this money to start an energy management system. And that's just not true. Just first watch your business. Is your office on right now? Probably, but you're here, right? So we could just understand how we're using energy, right? And again, I spoke earlier about, a lot of people work remotely 1 or 2 days a week or possibly the whole week. So why is that energy being consumed in that section of the business?
Correct.
So take the risk. It's
in some Japanese managements will be saying like, we wanted to go the sustainability way and let's implement it. So it's a top-down effort for the energy management. For some companies that it's a bottom-up effort where the maintenance teams or the energy management teams would like to implement the energy management system. Convincing from bottom up to the top, because where the priorities can change, would be much more challenging. But it's always easier when the management takes it up on their way, so that the implementation of the energy management system and then the accountability still lies with the people who are operating it.
Right.
So it goes on to that way.
True point. Yeah. There's a final question we're having for our session today. What is the most important takeaways for companies which they take for future of energy efficiency and improvement, in your opinion?
Manage energy better. That's what I would say.
Interesting. Good.
Yeah. Look, the proof is in the numbers. Take the risk. Just understand where you use energy. It's not going to cost a cent. Just understand how we use energy today. If we relate it to the modern business, it is different to it was 5-6 years ago.
True point, yes.
But there are savings. There are true savings just understanding how we use energy. Obviously, I'd love to talk about metering and monitoring and power quality and, okay, that's next level.
Yeah.
And then reporting and so on. But take the risk. Start somewhere. And I say start today. Just do it.
Very good. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time and our episode today. As long-term benefits can be achieved by Janitza Systems. We definitely can provide for more consulting to our listeners and viewers to our sessions. And in that way, we'd like to thank you once again for coming.
Thank you.
See you soon by our next session, hopefully. And yeah, for any further questions, please contact the Janitza teams worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harry, for joining us, and thank you, Tobias and Michael, for the exciting insights.
For our listeners, stay up to date and check the website of Janitza for the latest news.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.